In this video, I'm probably only speaking to one person because I'm just going to give you the hard knowledge of the way that I see it. And something else is that I see that most people want these podcast type videos. If I was to do an instructional video on doing something, people would probably fall asleep because nobody wants to go back to school to learn anything, that way, including myself. But I'm not going to be making these gimmicky type videos telling you to do all of this stuff that's just going to lead you down a trail of tears, so to speak. Some of the videos that I've been seeing out there, and I want to tell people, you can believe what you want to believe. I'm not here to tell you what you should believe in, but I want you to do your research when it comes to these things that I'm going to talk about real quick. And I'm only going to just brush over them some. There's a lot of content on my channel that goes into deep detail about each of one of these subjects. You can search it and watch them, and you can see that I'm real. I've been doing this for credit repair, getting ready to go on 20 straight years of helping people. 20 straight years of helping people. So the first thing that I want to talk about, which is, I have to say this one, like this is my number one top thing that I got to say. I'm seeing this all over YouTube. I see news articles. People are making this BS claim that renting is better than owning a home. They're making this is total BS. Now you can get into a home in the wrong situation with these loans, these adjustable rate mortgages, and these high interest rate places that are just crazy. Just to so you get into the house and it becomes a trap. Yeah, those are out there, but there is nothing that is comparable to owning your own home. I would even say that even if you got into your home the wrong way, you got ripped off with an adjustable rate loan, all of that stuff, that you are still in a better situation, and all you have to do is do your homework and you can get that fixed. Because this is what you're comparing home ownership. This is what it means. If you rent, that means that someone can come and raise your rent. That means that someone can walk in and inspect their property. That means that you are building wealth for them and their family. All of those payments that you make, that goes into equity. That goes into equity. That means that you're building wealth for that individual. So anyone who is telling you that home ownership is not the way to go, they are crazy. You need to turn around and leave, because I bet you they're right around the corner trying to buy foreclosed properties or doing whatever that they could do to buy and sell real estate and make profits or rent properties. It is, and also it's more than just the house itself. It's a lot more. It means a lot more, and that's what people need to understand. Let me tell you what it meant for me. I remember now I've owned several homes, but the one that I had before, where we had moved to a few years back, I remember when my wife and three daughters, we were renting, but we wanted to buy the house. It was a new build, and we had told the owner, we were like, we want to buy the house when you're ready to sell it. He was an investor, but he was kind of trying to keep the property. We felt that he was trying to keep it for a while to make money on the rent. He was making good money on the rent from us. And I remember walking into the house, and my wife and three daughters I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? I was coming home from work, and I was like, what did I do? And they were like, his name is Scott. He said, Scott wants to sell the house because we are in the house. We have first dibs on the house, and we go get the house. Go get the down payment money that we had put aside and go get we get in this house. And something that he had did is he had actually jacked the price. I think I told this story before. At that time, they were building these homes probably about 240, 240,000, 250, 260. And he said he wanted to sell the house for 352,000. And most people would have been like, "You're crazy, nuts. Why would you do it? This is, it wasn't just about that. It was about securing a secure place for my wife, 3 daughters. My wife, 3 daughters, and, not renting, because my mindset is not to be renting. And we end up getting the property, and years before, remember, if you know my story, from 1994, 1999, it took me and my wife that long to get out of $300,000 in bad debt, in bad decisions that we made. So credit was destroyed, fixed our credit, and by 2003, though the universe just matched. Number one, universe matched when we moved we used to be out on a farm in the county. When we moved from there back to the city, we ended up having an appointment with this guy that normally he sent us to this part of town that we wouldn't even buy a rental property there. And then he was like, "Well, if you want something better, I got these new builds over here. These, I think it was like 4,000 square foot homes that he built. And he was like, you can go see those, and you rent that from me." So that's the universe meeting. And then when it came time to sell it, and it's not that he tried, he said, "This is my price, or I'm not selling it to you." So me and my wife, we were like, we got to get it. So over the years, financial security residential security for my wife and my 3 daughters. The first thing my wife did is she painted one of the bathrooms red. And I think that she just did that because it was ours. You don't got to ask no permission to do nothing. And then the fencing, she got a pool put in, like it was a heated swimming pool. All the fence around it was it's not plastic, but it was a very expensive fence around the property. Like everything was the way that we had dreamed. Got the basement done, fully furnished, just incredible. And when we ended up, so that was 2003 when we sold the property before we moved to where we're at. And remember in 2008, the mortgage downturn happened too. So the real estate downturn. So 352,000 at one point our house was worth something like 240. I remember getting the paperwork, and I was like, so. And there were people in the neighborhood that were losing their homes, people leaving, people selling for less, just like they just panicking, full out panic. And we just stayed steady, making our payments on our mortgage, just kept moving forward. Years later, I think we were like 2020, somewhere around there, wanted to move out the city. All of the kids are out of the house, moved that was a 2-story, wanted to have just 1 story. Me and my wife wanted to have land. And when we sold that house, it was the most expensive house purchased at that time. And it was still to this day, the highest price sold house in that community. Over I think, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, like $360,000 profit on the sale of that property. Now, just think, what if I would have just kept renting and said, well, I'm not going to pay that amount? Not to say that everybody can afford it. I'm just That's just my numbers. Your numbers may be different. Your numbers may be higher. Your numbers may be lower. I'm just giving you my real life example. By being able to do that, that's the type of position it puts your family into. That was the profit over the 352. That was the profit. Not counting all of the years. It was almost 10, almost 20 years of payments that we got back. That's just the profit on the 352, not counting the payments that we paid down our mortgage with. And I always paid more on our mortgage. And also, during one of the periods of time I had refinanced, and that property had a 3.7% interest rate, because my credit score was so high. Qualified back then, they were doing the 3.5 or 3.7, somewhere around there. So I had a 3% interest rate, so most of the payment was going to principal. So that's how you build value. John Hope Bryant, you got to watch his videos he's doing a lot on TikTok now. Man, he is showing, like, people are being fooled when they don't think that owning property is important, that they think that renting is more important. Now, if you're talking about moving around and all of that stuff, that might be a different story. But if you're talking about grounding yourself and you're working or starting a business, this is like one of the first keys. Investing in your own property gives you the experience to be able to invest, if you want to invest in real estate, because you understand what it's all about. Now let's talk about another thing that is rubbing me the wrong way, is people are making these videos telling you to go out there and get these loans, get these credit cards, to go out there and get a VIN number, and then you use that VIN number to go get a loan, and then if you don't get the car title, then it's going to convert to a personal loan. This is not what we're trying to do out here, folks. This is not good advice. This is not good advice. I can tell you that people who play in that type of field, that do that type of stuff, their ability to accept the consequences for the things that they do that skirt the laws are a lot different than what you and I are willing to compromise about doing stuff the right way. We be very careful. I'm not saying that if you got a plan in mind and you're going to use, stack credit cards, or with the thing with taking the VIN number and getting a loan, I do not endorse anything like that. But if you're talking about stacking credit cards to be able to get somewhere, and you know that you can make those payments and you're going to be able to pay that debt and manage that debt, I'm all for it, because you need money to be able to make money. I mean, that is not just like a cliche. It is the truth. And if you have money, you can make more money. People will offer you more money, and you can make more money from having money. That brings me into your credit doesn't matter. I remember, now, I don't have nothing against Dave Ramsey. I have nothing against Dave Ramsey. But he used to preach, and I was one of the followers in the 90s about this: your credit does not matter. And I'm here to tell you that if I wouldn't have taken that advice, I could have took his advice about paying down debt. That's one thing. But about your credit not matter, that was not good information. Your credit does matter, because your credit is going to be the main driver of you being able to get loans at a good interest rate. When you get loans at a good interest rate, that stops you from paying more than what other people with bad credit that gets those same loans at higher interest rates. The difference between a higher interest rate loan and a lower interest rate loan is the money that you get to keep in your pocket. So you probably heard this before. They call it borrow. People, a lot of people like to borrow money because money is cheap. Because if you can go out and get the things that you want, and you pay cheaper payments, and you do the right things with the money that you don't have to utilize for that whatever you get, you invest some of it, you do some fun things with some of it, but you have this well-rounded understanding about what you want to do with your money. Borrowing money at cheap interest rates is not a bad thing. And borrowing money, period, is not a bad thing. When let me give you a quick example. Uh, Instead of using myself, I'm gonna use one of my consulting clients. Name is Jay. Jay, if you're watching, about to bring you into this story. Jay is a real estate investor. My company, the Credit Repair Shop, helped him repair his credit, increase his scores. He ended up starting multiple companies. Very successful, multi-millionaire now, from very little money to multi-millionaire. And I helped him with his mindset, because I was like, it doesn't matter how much money you got. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to go anywhere. I've seen plenty of people who inherited money, had the wrong mindset, lost their money, and a lot of people who made a lot of money and then the mindset got messed up and they lost that money. So I was like, your mindset is first. What you think in your mind is what's going to be created with whatever you have. So got his credit straightened out and started multiple companies, and he got into doing real estate. And he came to me and we did a quick coaching session with me, and he was like, Steve, I don't use my own money to get these properties. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how he does it. If you ever want to learn about that, you can ask me and I can hook you up with him. He charges $5,000 to $10,000 to coach people, and he's a real estate investor. Like, he's at one time, his portfolio, I think he had like 10 properties in 1 month, and he sold those properties within 3 months, all of them. But he was like, Steve, I borrow the money, get the properties, purchase the properties, get them fixed up in 30 days or less, put them on the market the second month, they're sold by the next month, pay the loans back, and take my profit. Some months he'll make, depending on how many properties, he can make 300,000, 500,000. Sometimes you don't have that many properties for sale, it might make 100 or 200,000, but he was averaging about $100,000 in his pocket per month. Averaging, but other months were a lot higher. So a big piece of that, though, was credit. And I can't go into how he does it because it would make the video a lot longer, but a big piece of it was credit. And the thing about it is that the credit was not necessarily used to get the money. His credit was used to see his character. His credit was used to see his character. That's crazy, isn't it? So his credit was not utilized on the basis of him paying the money back, because they got, properties. His credit was utilized for his character. So your credit is important. Don't let anyone tell you. I don't care who it is. Your credit is very important, and your credit is valuable. And then when it comes to paying cash for everything, this was one of the things that I had with Dave Ramsey. He was always talking about pay cash for everything. And I had tried that route with a lot of stuff. And guess what? You don't have enough cash to pay cash for everything. Nobody does. No company, no Dave Ramsey, nobody. Nobody does. You need access to capital. And what I learned when I took away that mindset of pay cash for everything is that utilizing credit I didn't even have to pay for that, because the way that my businesses were set up, whatever I would utilize with credit was paid off. And then I made profit off of their money. OPM, the real way to use other people's money. The thing is that you got to learn to manage it. If you don't learn to manage it, you're going to be in trouble. So that's why when I see people talk about these credit card stacking and doing all of this stuff, these people are only making money selling you how to do that stuff. They don't have any experience with running a business. If you have experience running a business, that means that person is going to tell you how you have to structure your business to be able to pay this debt. That means that you're going to have to do business. And you're not going to be selling books. I always say books and tapes and all that. You're not going to be selling courses and stuff. Those people make money selling you courses. If you're going to do some of this stuff, you need to get with people that really runs businesses. If they really run a business, different story, because they're going to tell you about the ups and downs and how you're going to have to manage that business to be able to manage that debt. And let's see. I think that was it. That was it right there. Those right there. So if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes a Difference, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations, debt validation, and cease and desist collection activities letter. I do ask for a donation on those. Helps monetize my time here on this channel, because they don't want to monetize me the other way. They make all the money. If you're being sued by a debt collector, go to summonsmaster.com, where you can get a fully formatted summons response to every allegation that they allege against you, and a defense to help you potentially win your case. Same day service. If you have a debt validation, if you need a debt validation letter, they're sending you debt demand letters. Summons Master, all you have to do is upload that letter, and it'll create your debt validation for you. No mistakes can be made. All you got to do is sign it. You don't even got to date it. And you send that certified mail to the debt collector so you can get some action started on either making them stop or making them prove full validation of that debt. This is the way to do it the right way. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments to Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.